First contact and aggression. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Aerovax fleet emerged from slipspace, their massive crystalline vessels catching the light of Earth's sun and refracting it in dazzling patterns across the void. At the helm of the flagship Sovereign Dominion, High Commander Vazrik surveyed the blue planet rotating slowly beneath them with cold calculation in his 6 golden eyes. Another primitive world, he noted, mandibles clicking softly as he studied the sensor readings. Pre-interstellar civilization, rudimentary orbital capabilities, fractured governmental structures, typical development pattern. Strategic advisor. Nalara nodded, her scaled head tilting as she processed the information. The 13th such world we've encountered in this sector alone. The hegemony's expansion proceeds as expected. For 12,000 cycles, the Aerovax hegemony had swept through the stars with methodical precision. Their doctrine was simple: identify developing worlds, demonstrate overwhelming force, demand submission, and incorporate the conquered species into their empire as servants. It was efficient. It was merciful by their standards. After all, they allowed the conquered to live. Earth was supposed to be no different. Send the standard first contact package, Vazrik ordered. Give them 6 rotations to comprehend their position before we demonstrate our capabilities. The transmission beamed down to Earth contained the complete history of the hegemony, their laws, and expectations for new subject races, along with extensive footage of what happened to those who resisted. The message was clear: submit or face annihilation. For 6 days, Earth's government scrambled to respond. The United Nations convened emergency sessions. Military forces worldwide went to high alert. Scientists analyzed the alien transmission, confirming what many had feared. This was no hoax, no elaborate deception. Humanity was facing its first contact with an advanced alien civilization, and that civilization had come as conquerors. On the 7th day, the hegemony received Earth's official response, a simple message broadcast on all frequencies. We respectfully decline your offer. Earth is not available for conquest. On the bridge of the Sovereign Dominion, the message caused momentary silence, followed by sounds of amusement from the crew. They decline? Vazrik's voice held a note of disbelief. How curious. They clearly don't understand their situation. Nalara reviewed the data once more. Perhaps a demonstration is required. Their most populated areas appear to be these coastal cities. A single precision strike should suffice. Vazrik gestured his agreement. Target their largest population center. Minimal yield, we need subjects, not a wasteland. The weapon that fired from the Aerovax flagship was designed for precision. A beam of concentrated plasma cut through Earth's atmosphere, targeting the heart of Shanghai. In seconds, the city's center became a crater of molten glass. 8 million human lives extinguished in a heartbeat. Transmission sent, the communications officer reported. Standard surrender template with a 12-hour response window. Vazrik settled back, certain of the outcome. In 12,000 cycles, no species had continued resistance after such a demonstration. 11 hours later, humanity responded, not with words but with action. From hidden facilities around the globe, missiles streaked upward. Not the primitive chemical rockets the Aerovax had detected, but advanced weapons with propulsion systems the aliens had never seen before. The first wave struck before the hegemony's defenses could fully engage, destroying 2 support vessels and damaging the shields of the Sovereign Dominion. Impossible! Nalara hissed, her scales flaring in alarm. Their technology is far beyond what our scans indicated. Vazrik stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How could they hide such capabilities? The answer came moments later as every satellite in Earth's orbit suddenly changed trajectory, revealing themselves not as communications devices but as orbital weapons platforms. Energy signatures flared as systems long disguised as weather and communications satellites powered up and opened fire. They deceived us, Vazrik realized, mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Everything we scanned was a facade. Earth's response continued, relentlessly, from submarine bases hidden beneath the oceans, from mountain fortresses shielded from orbital detection, From desert installations masked by holographic technology, humanity unleashed weapons that should have been centuries beyond their reach. It appears, Nalara said slowly, that we have gravely misunderstood this species. On screens throughout the ship, human broadcasts replaced the hegemony's communications. Not pleas for mercy, but messages of defiance. Images of Shanghai's destruction played alongside faces of grim determination. Military leaders, political figures, and ordinary citizens alike delivered the same message in dozens of languages. Yuriwamyo have awakened humanity's fury. You will not survive it. Vazrik ordered an immediate escalation. Target all major population centers. Show them the price of defiance. 5 more cities fell to orbital bombardment. New York, Moscow, Cairo, Rio de Janeiro, Sydney. The death toll climbed into the tens of millions. Yet with each strike, Earth's counterattack grew more fierce, more coordinated. What the Arawaks couldn't understand was that humanity had not been as isolated as they appeared. 50 years earlier, a damaged alien scout ship had crashed in Earth's remote highlands. Its crew, refugees from hegemony expansion, had died in the impact, but their technology and records survived. For 5 decades, Earth had prepared in secret, developing defensive systems while maintaining the appearance of a pre-interstellar civilization. The humans had known someone like the Arawaks would come eventually, and they had planned accordingly. 12 hours into the battle, the hegemony lost its first major warship. The crystalline vessel shattered under concentrated fire from ground-based energy weapons hidden beneath what had appeared to be nuclear power plants. The massive ship broke apart, raining glittering fragments into Earth's upper atmosphere, creating an aurora of destruction visible from the ground. Each human nation had contributed its strengths to the defense. American ingenuity, Chinese precision, manufacturing, Russian resilience, European scientific innovation, African resource management, South American biodiversity engineering, all had played a role in creating weapons and defenses specifically designed to counter the hegemony's technology. They're employing adaptive frequencies, the Arawak's weapons officer reported with growing alarm. Our shields are losing effectiveness with each exchange. It's as if they studied our technology before we arrived. Vazrik finally realized the truth. This was no coincidence. They were waiting for us. Specifically for us. From a command center deep beneath the Swiss Alps, the Unified Earth Defense Command coordinated the global response. General Diana Chen watched the battle unfold on holographic displays, her face illuminated by the glow of tactical data. Phase 1 complete, her executive officer reported. Orbital defenses fully engaged. The enemy has lost 3 capital ships and 7 support vessels. Our casualties are within projected parameters. Chen nodded grimly. Begin Phase 2. Deploy the Lazarus swarms. Across Earth's oceans, what appeared to be ordinary shipping containers on cargo vessels suddenly burst open, releasing thousands of miniature drones. Each no larger than a human hand, they rocketed upward, using the debris field from the destroyed Arawak ships as cover to approach the remaining fleet. Aboard the Sovereign Dominion, alarms shrieked as sensors detected the new threat too late. The swarms attached themselves to the crystalline hulls, their specialized cutting tools boring through to inject nanites programmed to disable critical systems. We're losing weapons control, an officer shouted. Life support compromised on decks 4 through 17. Engineering reports drive systems failing. For the first time in his long career, Vazrik felt something unfamiliar. Fear. How can they be doing this? They're primitives. Nalara's voice was quiet, almost reverent. No, Commander. They are something else entirely. Something we have never encountered before. As the hegemony fleet struggled against the unexpected onslaught, humanity revealed yet another layer of their defense. From the dark side of the moon, previously undetected installations powered up, revealing a massive construction project that had been hidden from casual observation. Luna Base activated, came the report in General Chen's command center. Gravitational disruptors online. The technology, reverse-engineered from the crashed alien ship, targeted the hegemony's slip space capabilities, preventing retreat. The Baitir trap was complete. Vazrik watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by a species he had dismissed as insignificant. "Send the surrender signal," he ordered, his pride finally breaking under the weight of inevitable defeat. But the humans had studied the hegemony's communications. They knew which channel would carry such a message, and they were no longer listening. The fury-unleashed dawn broke over a changed Earth. The night sky, once familiar with its patterns of stars, now shimmered with the debris of destroyed Aravak's vessels. In orbit, the remnants of the once mighty hegemony fleet drifted helplessly, their crystalline structures fractured and systems failing. Aboard the Sovereign Dominion, High Commander Vazrik stood before the Emergency Council transmission, his posture rigid despite the ship listing around him. The projected images of the Hegemony High Council stared back with expressions ranging from disbelief to rage. "Explain how a pre-interstellar species has reduced our conquest fleet to ruins," demanded High Counselor Zivex, her elaborate headdress quivering with fury. "They deceived us," Vazrik replied, his voice hollow. "Everything we scanned, everything. We observed it was all a carefully constructed illusion. They knew we were coming. Not just any invaders, but us specifically, the Aravak's hegemony." "Impossible," another counselor hissed. "How could they have such knowledge?" Vazrik had no answer that wouldn't condemn him further. On Earth, the unified command had moved to their next phase. General Chen stood before the assembled world leaders, her uniform still bearing the dust from the partially collapsed command center after a near-miss bombardment. "Phase 2 is complete," she announced. "The hegemony fleet is neutralized as a fighting force. 86% of their capital ships are disabled or destroyed. The remainder are trapped in orbit by the gravitational disruptors. We've prevented any distress signals from reaching their home systems." President Okafor of the African Union leaned forward. "And our losses?" Chen's expression tightened. "Severe. We've lost 38 million civilians in the targeted cities. Military casualties stand at 12% of engaged forces. But it could have been much worse. The shelters worked better than we anticipated. For 50 years, humanity had built not just weapons but massive underground complexes beneath major cities. When the Aravak struck, millions had already been evacuated into these shelters, the evacuations disguised as routine drills or natural disaster preparations. "We now face a critical decision," Chen continued. "Do we destroy the remaining hegemony forces or do we leverage them? Their commander has attempted to transmit surrender signals 3 times in the past hour." After brief deliberation, the answer was unanimous. Earth would not accept surrender, not yet. First, they would show the Aravaks exactly what they had awakened. High Commander Vazrik stared in disbelief as his sensors reported new developments. From Earth's surface, thousands of vessels were rising, sleek, predatory shapes that bore no resemblance to the primitive rockets the hegemony had observed during their initial scans. "They're warships," Nalara whispered. "They've had a space fleet all along." The human vessels moved with precision, surrounding the crippled hegemony ships. From their flanks, smaller craft emerged, boarding parties. "They're coming aboard," the security chief shouted. "Multiple breach points, defense systems non-responsive." Vazrik had expected death. He had not expected to come face-to-face with his enemy. The humans who breached the Sovereign Dominion moved with practiced efficiency, their powered armor making them formidable even against the physically superior Aravaks. They secured the bridge within minutes, losses minimal. A human female stepped forward, removing her helmet to reveal dark skin and determined eyes. "High Commander Vazrik," she said, her translator rendering his language perfectly. "I am Admiral Yasmin Kaur of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your ship is now under our control." Vazrik's mandibles clicked in resignation. "You know my name. You know our technology. How is this possible?" Admiral Kaur's smile held no warmth. 53 years ago, a ship crashed in the Himalayas. Its crew were not Aravaks but refugees fleeing your expansion. They didn't survive, but their ship did. It contained detailed records of hegemony tactics, technology, and territories. Understanding dawned on Vazrik. The Tellarites. We conquered their homeworld 60 cycles ago. Yes, Kor confirmed. And they had been monitoring your conquest patterns for generations. They tried to reach us to warn us. They didn't make it in time to save themselves, but they gave us the time we needed to prepare. Throughout the hegemony fleet, similar scenes played out as human forces secured vessel after vessel, not destroying them, but claiming them, learning from them, adding their technological distinctiveness to humanity's own. On Earth, the recovery had already begun. The destroyed cities would be rebuilt, their losses mourned, but humanity's spirit remained unbroken. If anything, the attack had unified Earth's nations as nothing before. In a secure facility beneath Geneva, the captive Aravak's High Command was brought before the Earth Council, not for execution but for negotiation. President Helena Martinez of the United Americas spoke for humanity. Your civilization has conquered 67 worlds through shock, fear, and overwhelming force. That strategy failed here because we were prepared. Now, you will help us liberate those worlds you've enslaved. It wasn't a request. The human boarding parties had recovered the complete navigational data of the hegemony, star charts detailing their entire territory, and the command codes for their automated defense systems. Why would we help you? Vazrik asked, genuinely, curious despite his situation. General Chen stepped forward. Because unlike you, we're offering a genuine choice. Help us free those you've conquered, and your people will be spared. The hegemony will be dismantled, but the Aravaks themselves will retain their homeworld and basic autonomy. Refuse, and we'll do it anyway, but your civilization won't survive to see it. The evidence of humanity's capabilities surrounded them. In just days, they had defeated the most powerful fleet the hegemony had ever assembled. What they could do with the captured Aravaks technology was terrifying to contemplate. 1 month later, the first human liberation fleet departed the solar system, their ships incorporating modified Aravaks technology alongside their own innovations. The vessels that had seemed so impressive during Earth's defense now formed just the vanguard of a rapidly expanding armada. Vazrik, now serving as an advisor, albeit under close supervision, watched from the observation deck as the ships entered slip space. You never had a chance against us, Admiral Kor told him, standing at his side. Not because we're naturally superior, but because you gave us something no other species in your path had. Time to prepare. And yet you show mercy, Vazrik observed. You could have exterminated us. That's the difference between us, Kor replied. Your people conquer because you believe it's your right. We fight because we must. And when the fighting's done, we remember our humanity. As the Liberation Fleet disappeared into the depths of space, carrying the fury of Earth to distant stars, humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors like the Aravaks, but as liberators. The message they carried to the oppressed, worlds of the hegemony, was simple. Freedom has arrived, and it wears a human face. On distant worlds long crushed under Aravak's rule, resistance movements stirred as whispered messages spread. The hegemony had finally met its match. A species called humans had done the impossible. They had faced the full might of the Aravaks, and the Aravaks had broken against them like waves upon a shore. Hope, long extinguished, began to burn once more. The age of the hegemony was ending. The age of humanity had begun.